Hi Flosstube friends, my name is Caitlin and this is my little corner of the internet where I talk about my cross stitching. I actually recorded a February update earlier this week, but when I watched the edit back, it was really weird and awkward. I must have been in a really weird mood that day because like my shoulders were like doing this thing the whole time and kind of like waving back and forth. I don't know. It was early in the morning and I was stone cold sober, but when I watched the edit, I looked like a weird, more awkward, drunk version of myself. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm actually getting worse at recording these videos as time goes on. Like I'm getting increasingly more awkward in front of the camera instead of better. Does anyone else feel that way? I don't know, maybe it's just me. Anyway, quick life update before we get into it. So, the show I was on wrapped for the season the last week of January, first week of February. So since then, I have been doing a whole lot of nothing. I've been bumming around the house, avoiding housework, avoiding going outside, avoiding interacting with other people, and I've been doing a lot of stitching. So I have a lot of things to show you today. So that's exciting. I've also been doing a lot of studying. I have a big test coming up for work. So if you are new here, and if you're new here, welcome, and please leave a little comment below telling me who sent you here. I noticed some new subscribers lately and I want to know like how you found me. So if you're new, leave me a little comment and welcome. But if you're new, so my job is I work in film and TV in New York City in the props department. And in New York City, in order to get your union membership card for the props department, you have to pass a pretty difficult series of tests. I have taken them twice before and failed both times, so I'm hoping the third time is a charm. So I've been studying really hard during my time off work. So cross your fingers for me, guys, that hopefully by the end of March, I will have passed this test and I will never have to take it again. Okay, so let's talk about finishes. I have one finish to show you. It's a little guy, but a finish is a finish, right? So I am talking about my Mill Hill Santa. I will insert a picture here where you saw it last time. It had like 3 stitches in, which I think I ripped out anyway because I wasn't happy with with how thick using 3 threads was through the perforated paper. So I decided, the chart calls to use 3 threads, but I decided to just use 2 so I could do the loop start. And I think I mentioned that on my last video and a lot of you guys commented you do the same thing, so that's good to hear. So anyway, here he is all done. Oops. So I think I have in the past incorrectly referred to him as, let's see if I put this, get rid of this, incorrectly referred to him as the Jamaican Santa, but he is actually the Trinidad Santa. So he's got a lot of beads. These beads here, the small ones, the chart calls for them to be attached with a full cross. I totally forgot, and I attached all the beads with a half cross, so they're slanted instead of being straight. But I think it still looks really cute. I don't care. And his beard was way easier than I thought it was going to be. So if you're feeling intimidated by these kits because of the beard, don't be. If you can tie a bow, you can put a beard on a Mill Hill Santa. It was super easy. The instructions were super clear and easy to follow, and I think he looks adorable. So I'm super excited to put him on some felt and cut him out and hang him on my tree next year. So I would like to pass the stash on what's left of this kit. So the chart is in totally pristine condition because I made a working copy. And I think there might be enough floss here to stitch him a second time. I have it pre-sorted onto this quick and dirty floss card, but it's also just DMC floss. So if you have DMC, you can probably finish it. You probably need a little bit more of the ecru color that's used in his beard, I think. But again, it's just DMC. And there are some beads left. I don't know if it's enough to do the whole thing, but there's quite a lot of beads left. So anyway, if you are interested in giving this, and of course the perforated paper was used up, so you'll need your own or a piece of fabric. But anyway, if you are interested in giving this kit a second home, comment below, say I would like to stitch the Santa, Okay, so let's talk whips. So like I said, I've been doing a lot of stitching, and I've been doing a lot of stitching on a lot of different things. So my New Year, New Start was this chart by Meredith Marks Designs. I have a good friend who asked me to stitch her something a long time ago, and I agreed, and she specifically asked for something involving whales. And I searched for a long time before I found a pattern that wasn't like too cutesy or pixelated or full coverage. And she just has a unique style. She has a lot of art in her home already, and I just wanted to make sure it was something that would fit her taste, and it wasn't just like a cute whale. So I came across Meredith Marks Designs patterns, I think while I was browsing whale cross stitch on eBay, and I found this pattern. It's just called Whales by Meredith Marks Designs. I don't know if she's still designing because I have only seen her charts on eBay, and then I think there's one needle workshop that seems to be based in Alaska that has some of her designs. This is an older chart. It's a hand-drawn chart. Anyway, so this is my New Year, New Start, and I don't have a whole lot done on it, but I'll show you what I have. So I just have the start of the whale tail there, and then the start of this rainbow thing. And I am stitching this 2/2 on Picture This Plus Lugana 32 count, and it's in the colorway Helix. It's a little bit more gray in person. It's a little darker in person than it's showing up on camera. And this needle minder is from the Color and Cotton Halloween box, and I love it. Okay, so next I wanted to start to tackle my full coverage Fanatics goals for January. And I wasn't feeling like pulling out my Hade, but I realized that this chart is technically full coverage. So this is Deco Spirits by Mirabilia, and each of these panels is a full coverage panel. So I decided to pull this out for my full coverage Fanatics goals for January and February. And I'll insert a picture here of where you saw it last time. I'm doing this as a sal with Angela from Angela Stitches. And hi, Angela. She stitched a lot of beautiful Mirabilias, but she's familiar with them. But this is my first Mirabilia, and I'm loving it. And this is stitching up so much faster than I thought it would. So here's where I'm at. I got a lot done, right? I got my 1,200 stitches in for January, and I think I've got like 300 of my February stitches in so far. So I'm working on the earth panel, so you can see these big buildings here. I love these. I love everything about this chart. I think the buildings remind me of New York City. I feel like just the look, the Art Deco look of the chart reminds me of all the free art on the outside the buildings around the Rockefeller Center in that area. It's gorgeous. So this is like the top of her head here. I've started it on the Krynic. I love this teal Krynic. This is all, I don't know if you can tell, but this white over here is all sparkly. It's Krynic too. And I think when I started this, I was worried about the coverage. I'm stitching this 2/2 on 28 count Lugana, just white. And I was a little bit worried about the coverage for the dark spots, but honestly, I think it's looking okay. I mean, it's not perfect coverage, but from far away, it looks great, and I'm really happy with it. And I like 28 Lugana. I think it's my preferred count. So this is stitching up a lot faster than I thought it would. It's just big blocks of color, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm not enjoying the blending filament that is like through here. That is annoying to work with. It's my first time working with blending filament, but I love this. I'm going to pull this back out later today, I think, and try and get my February stitches in. So next I decided to pull out my oldest whip. I'm not sure if this is still available or what the name of this design is actually. I bought it off Etsy in 2016, and I will insert a picture here of what it's supposed to look like. I started this the spring before we got married with the intention of making this our wedding sampler. Long story short, I was a new stitcher. I bit off more than I could chew. I got fed up with the design, didn't finish it in time, put it away for a year. And then a year later, I pulled it back out and decided to restart it on linen. And I will insert a picture of where you saw it last time. And then here is where it is now. So this is stitched 1/2 on 32 count linen. I believe the colorway is Silvery Moon from Zweigart. I've got a lot done over here. This is the edge of the page here, and then this is the edge of the page here. So I still have I have to fill in all these blank spots, and then I have to fill in these leaves over here. This stitches up really slowly. The chart is difficult to read. I've complained about it before, so I won't get into it again. Which, speaking of, I think the last time I complained about it, or the first time I did, somebody commented that they thought I was being small-minded for complaining about the chart. I mean, it's nothing personal, but if your chart is hard to read, your chart is hard to read, you know? Like, I think good charts, a good chart is a good chart is a good chart. And if your chart is bad, I'm going to say it. That doesn't make me a bad person. I'm sorry if you think that, but you're wrong. So yeah, I'd really like to have this finished by the end of the year because this WIP turns 3 in April, but I was trying to keep on track with completing this 6 pages. So I thought if I can do half a page a month, I can finish it by the end of the year. And I'm sort of on track for that right now, but then we'll see. It stitches up slow. It's not as fun to work on as my other projects, so we'll see if I pull it back out this month. So next, I decided to pull out Cross Stitch Nation. I started this last year as a sal with Margot and Candy Stitches. It's by Heartstring Samplery. I think that Margot finished hers basically right away, and I put in approximately 100 stitches and fell off the face of the earth. But I'll insert a picture of where you saw it last time. And this is where it's at now. So I've got a lot done. Got all the red done down here, started this guy, started these ladies. Green lady's still headless. I think I'm going to keep her that way for a little bit. I might just make them all headless, a row of headless people. I don't know what's wrong with me, something wrong with me. So this is stitched 1/2 on 40 count Zweigart Country Mocha, which is the printed fabric from Zweigart. It's turning out really well. I really, really love stitching with one strand, and it's not that difficult to see the holes on this linen. It is a light color, so I think this is going to be my next big focus for a finish when I finish what I'm currently focusing on, which we will talk about in a minute. So in January, I drank the Kool-Aid and I joined the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. I'm sure you've all heard all about this on other people's Flosstube channels. If you haven't, to briefly sum it up, it is a Facebook group that is Harry Potter themed. Everybody is sorted into a house. I'm a Slytherin. Not surprising. Highly competitive. Look great in green. But anyway, everyone's sorted into a house, and there are weekly, monthly, and yearly stitching and reading challenges you can do to earn points for your house for the House Cup. And one of our weekly homework assignments was to rescue a whip from whip jail. So I thought a lot about the whips I had that might need rescuing. There is Coffee Quaker, which needs to be restarted. There is Gingerbread Cat, which has a big mistake in it somewhere that needs to be ripped out and fixed. And then there's this one, which I started in 2017 in January, worked on until February, and then put it away for 2 years. And I thought 2 years was long enough for it to be in whip jail. So I'm talking about the Clouds Factory Women in History Stitch Along. And I will insert a picture here of where you saw it last, as well as a picture of what it is supposed to look like finished. And this is where I am at now. So you can see I gave Virginia Woolf some eyes, and then I finished Virginia Woolf, and I also did Mary Curie. And can we talk about this random bottle next to Mary Curie? It makes me think about, so if you ever go to a film set, you'll notice that every wall, every table, every surface has stuff on it. Like every wall is covered in pictures and paintings. Every coffee table is covered in some sort of curated clutter. every table and shelf is full of things. And the reason for this is, one, because set decorators want to make sure the camera has something interesting to look at, because blank walls, not very interesting. I say as there are blank walls behind me. And also because they're trying to breathe some life into fake places, right, where nobody actually lives. So they put things everywhere. And every time there's a hospital or a lab set, there's almost always a huge shelf that is full of random, probably pointless, usually empty glass bottles and vials. Like, just to give an interesting thing for the camera to look at that's vaguely sciencey, there's usually a shelf that's just full of random empty glass bottles. And that's kind of what this makes me think of here, is all those shelves of vaguely sciencey bottles. Like, let's just dress in a vaguely sciencey bottle, and then the audience will know that Mary Curie's a scientist. So that's what I'm thinking about with this. I thought it was funny. And you'll probably notice another change here. So the reason this was in whip jail for so long was because there were so many women that I wanted to, that were charted in the pattern that I wanted to replace. Like, I intend to replace 6 or 7 of them, I think. And I just kind of got some decision paralysis about who to replace them with and how to chart it, and it started to feel overwhelming. So I think I threw this in a drawer and forgot about it. And I have to give credit to Andrea in Colorado. I have been following along with her progress on her Women in History project since the beginning, and she has made a lot of changes, and it's beautiful. She has made some really wonderful changes and personalizations to it. And that alone kind of inspired me to pull this back out. And it also happened that the week we got the Rescue a Whip homework assignment, she posted on Instagram a picture of her blank space where she had ripped out Coco Chanel. And I had kind of been intending to rip out Coco Chanel myself, but again, decision paralysis, I just couldn't figure out what to do with that spot. So when she posted that picture, that kind of gave me the push I needed to get some motion on this project. And once I got started, once I got her ripped out, I just kept going, you know? So anyway, I decided to replace Coco with Helen Keller. So all these women are put on the chart in their order of birth, and technically Helen Keller is a year older than Virginia Woolf, so they should be swapped, but whatever, who cares? I don't care. If you care, I don't care that you care. So I wanted to include Helen Keller for a lot of reasons, but there is a quote from a Time magazine article, and I'll link that article below, that I think, a quote about her that I think really sums up my feelings. So I'll just read it to you. Many people know more about Keller's early years than they do about the remainder of her life. She is most often remembered for proving that people with disabilities can achieve success and live independently. But to frame her life as an up-by-the-bootstrap tale in which sheer optimism and perseverance solve the personal challenge of disability is to miss a large portion of what Keller fought for. So what's often forgotten about Keller is that she was very politically active. She was an advocate not only for people with disabilities, but for the poor, for working class people, for women, for African Americans. You know, she did a lot for human rights, and a lot more than I think people realize. So, you know, I included the water pump because that's kind of like a classic image that people think about for Helen Keller. But then I put her in a red shirt to represent her work with the Socialist Party. She was a raging socialist. She was actually on the FBI watch list for a lot of her life, a lot of her adult life, because of all her ties to communism and her active role in the Socialist Party. And, you know, the Socialist Party of America, their color's red. So I put her in a red shirt. And then I also included this torch, which is a symbol of the ACLU, which she helped to found, which of course is very active today still. And then I put in one of her dogs because she loved her dogs, and she was often photographed with her dogs as an adult. This is meant to be one of her Boston Terriers. I think his name was Fitz. So yeah, so that's what I've done with this project. I'm really happy with how she turned out, and I think it looks pretty good. So we'll see if I pull this back out in March. I don't know, maybe I'll put it away for another 2 years until 2021. So the last whip I have to show you, I was feeling pretty good about getting some work done on an older whip, and I kind of wanted to keep that train rolling. So I pulled out another 2-year-old whip, another Sal. So this is the Frosted Pumpkin Happily Ever After Sal, and I'll put a picture in here of what it will look like finished, as well as where you saw it the last time. And this is where I'm at now. Oops, can you see that? So I've got a lot done. I've been using this for a lot of Magical Stitches homework also. So I finished the Billy Goats, I finished Robin Hood, I finished the Ducklings and Aladdin, and then I've got to start down here on the last 3 blocks. So I've accomplished a lot. I'm very close to a finish, but these blocks are dense, and this flower border that needs to happen along the bottom here that matches the top takes forever. So I was hoping to finish this before March, but I just don't know if it's possible. There's still so much left to do. Each of these blocks takes so much longer than it looks, but I'm really happy with how it's looking. This is stitched on 28 count Lugana Picture This Plus, excuse me, in the colorway Chime. It's the crystal chime, the sparkly one. I don't know if you can see the sparkle. I don't know if you can see the sparkle in the camera. Can't really, but it's this very like buttery yellow color. So I'm really happy with all the progress I've done on that, and I can see the end, the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's great. That's it for whips. Let's talk a little bit about retirement planning. So first of all, I received some stitchy kindness. Leah Noel, the Aviatrix Stitcher. Hi, Leah. She sent me a lovely gift of a chart. It's got all my favorite things. It's a prairie schooler. Has Santas. It has some vaguely Canadian woodland creatures. These geese, deer. I'm excited. I'm gonna have to order some black fabric so I can start this. A lot of white in there, right? But thank you, Leah. This is great. I've had my eye on this chart for a while and I never pulled the trigger. So what a lovely gift. Thank you so much. And then like I said in my last video, I'm not buying any charts in 2019. I still have not bought a chart in 2019. 2 months in, going strong. Good for me. But I did win a lot of Kingsland charts on eBay on December 31st, 2018. So those finally came in. My last charts until 2020 arrived. So I'll show you. The listing didn't show all the charts that was in the lot, but it did show a couple, and I'll show you the ones that I bought it for in the first place. I think I got all of these for $4. So first of all, I got there was Stag's Leap which has a deer, so of course I love this, and this pretty sampler here. And then you're supposed to stitch the deer on white and the sampler on mushroom color even weave, and then attach the two pieces of fabric together. And then this one, Exemplar, I've been after since Michelle's live sale. Again, this is the what you attach white fabric up here to like a gray color fabric here. I love that these motifs like are color and then fade to this gray color. I think that's so cool. The instructions on how to join the two pieces of fabric are not very clear. So if you have done one of these charts before or can point me in the direction of a tutorial on how to join the pieces of fabric, please comment below and let me know. This chart actually doesn't even have any instructions on how to do it, and the deer chart just says to join them with a back stitch, that's all. So, and to press the seam to the left, whatever that means. And then the third chart in the lot I really liked was these stockings. I really like that this is like a sampler stocking here with this flower border. And I like this band sampler one here too. I would maybe do both of these, one for my husband and one for me. I would not do this creepy nutcracker stocking with this deranged mouse with giant, crazy, creepy eyes. I would not do this one. I do not like this stocking at all. And then there's like a whole stack came with those, you know? So I got a pretty good deal on those. A lot of them have this like stitching two pieces of fabric together. A lot of floral motifs. Oh, I like this one. It's another deer. This is another nice one. So I have a whole stack of charts. I don't know if I'll do all of these. I don't love all of them. Some of them are a little dated. Like this, not so much my jam. So I might stash unload some of them, but I like a lot of them. So I think I am set on charts until 2020. So that's good. All right. Something else I got. I don't know why I waited so long to buy one of these. This is probably the best cross stitch purchase I've made ever. I finally got a DMC color card with the actual threads. I don't know why I waited so long to buy one of these. I think I paid $35 for this on Amazon, which seems a little high for a color card, but honestly, this was a lifesaver with the Mill Hill kit, because you know, those kits, they don't come pre-sorted, and then they'll just say like medium green, light green, darkest green, and then you have to kind of figure out which is which. So I was able to look at the number and then match it to the floss over here to see if it was to make sure it was the right color pretty quickly. So that alone made it worth the money, I think. The last thing I have to show you is my mother-in-law went to a thrift store we have in the city. It's called Materials for the Arts. And it's a place where you can only go there if you have a non-for-profit, which she does. She has a small museum in Brooklyn. And you can only go there if you're a non-for-profit, and you can take whatever you want for free. So she went looking for something, and she texted me and said, they have some needlepoint stuff here. Should I take it for you? And I said, sure. And then she gave it to me, and it's not needlepoint stuff. It's actually cross-stitch stuff. So first of all, there was this entire kit by Yoda's Cross Stitch. It's called Blooming Village. Isn't that pretty? And look, so these kits come with the floss pre-bobbinated for you and labeled. How cool is that? When I first got this, I didn't realize that this was a kit, because I just thought that these were all like I thought somebody had bobbinated this floss from their stash because of how perfectly and wonderful it was organized. So that's really cool. Everything's in here, the Ada, the needle, the chart. If I do this, I probably will just use yellow fabric so I don't have to stitch all this yellow up here. This is pretty. This would look nice in my kitchen. And then with that, there was several Ziploc bags full of floss on bobbins. I don't know what brand of floss this is. The floss in the kit is Madeira floss, so these might be as well. But the kind of weird thing is, so there's all these individual Ziploc bags full of bobbins that have the same number all written on them. Like, it's hard to see, but this one says number 15. They all say number 15, and they all have roughly the same amount of floss. So I'm not sure if somebody previously, like if the person who previously owned these cut lengths of floss and then marked that the number that the floss was on the chart, like maybe this color was number 15 on the chart and then they bobbinated them to the lengths they like, or what the deal is. But they're all like this. There's just bags and bags all of the same color. So I'm not sure what brand of floss it is. I might look at these next to my color card and see if I can figure it out. I don't know how useful they'll be since I don't know what brand or color they are. I don't know, but that's kind of cool. So if you have any suggestions or ideas about that mystery, put those below too. Okay, so I think that's everything I have to show you. That's everything I bought. That's everything I stitched. I didn't show you sewing. I'll show you next time. I don't have it with me. It's all upstairs. So I think that's everything. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I'm going to go clean up this giant mess and get back to studying and eat some breakfast. Yeah. So thanks for joining me. If you're new, please leave a comment below and let me know how you found me. Even if you're not new, leave me a comment because I like to talk to you guys. Okay, that's it. Endings are always so hard, right? I feel like I say that every video. Anyway, happy stitching, everyone. Bye for now.